All right, something new today. No intro required. Here we go. I'm answering questions. I'm just going to start answering questions on Quora, and I'm going to see if this works. And if it does, I have an idea for a way my channel may or may not change. So here we go. My family doesn't like my boyfriend because he's in a wheelchair. What do I do? Swinging hard for the fences real fast, aren't we? Okay. First and foremost, what your family thinks or doesn't think is irrelevant to the situation. The fact that this person is asking this question suggests to me, and hopefully to themselves, that they know there's a problem here. They're looking for assistance, not in asking. Nobody reads this and thinks she's asking how to dump her boyfriend. Or he's asking how to dump his boyfriend. I don't know. Forget it. I'm not going to worry about all this he, she, they, whatever stuff. So, this isn't going to feel like much of an answer, but all you can really do is live your authentic life and don't judge yourself too harshly. Try to truly understand where everybody is coming from. If I'm to be blunt, I'm just going to assume that it doesn't matter. This person in a wheelchair, it's fairly easy to understand how they feel. It's fairly easy to... No, let me rephrase. It's fairly easy to understand the concept that they're coming from, the place they're coming from, and how it would feel to have something out of your control for which people are judging you. Something that already causes you pain, and it's causing more unnecessary pain. People know that concept, right? Now, it's a lot harder and takes a lot more courage and wisdom to try to get where your parents are coming from. And you have to do that. You have to. Now, I'm going to say before I even get started, I believe that there is a fault in their logic. And it will make itself fairly clear as you think about it. And only you can know what the fault is. I'm confident that there's something wrong with something. Something here is broken. Now, unfortunately, we also need to realize that never mind. It says, my family doesn't like my boyfriend because he's in a wheelchair. I thought if it said and, then it might not be involved. But it says because, and I can only take you at your word here. So if that's true, you need to not let them affect you. You need to understand why they're doing what they're doing and realize that their logic is flawed, that they're being too selfish for you. That's what they think they're doing. Everybody who does something wrong always has a justification for it. And usually when you hear it, you kind of go, oh, I get it. And then you can explain to them why they're wrong. But you can't set somebody at ease if you don't know where the pain is really coming from. And in this case, it's likely because dating somebody in a wheelchair has a lot of concepts to it that a person can't truly comprehend or are very difficult to try to empathize with. For example, even just not walking, even just not standing up right now. If I had to be sitting and I had no choice right now, that's really hard to comprehend. Oh, I didn't even look and see if that light's making this weird. And that lack of comprehension leads to a response from the body, typically a defensive one, a fear response, an anger response, a disgust response, a sadness response. Any one of a number of responses could occur, but chances are your family, I keep saying parents, but it says family, chances are your family doesn't like this person or is being too hard on this person because they haven't had the chance to calm the F down. Okay? They can't. Judgment always comes from a lack of perception. They are not seeing it from all the right angles. Now don't tell them this because people get defensive, but if they were in a wheelchair for a day, like, let's go with a week, actually. Yeah, a week. Then it would change everything. But you can't ever tell a person that, and you can't force that on them, because when that happens, they get defensive about what you've done to them, that you stripped away what they were and showed how they were accidentally judgmental to the world, and that makes people defensive. So you need to help guide them to that point where they realize that the struggle is different but the same at the same time for every person on the planet. Everybody understands what yay is, and everybody understands what aw is, and everybody understands what trying for yay and getting aw is, and everybody understands what trying for aw and getting yay is. Everybody gets positivity and negativity, so just try to focus on that. And anyway, I think that's pretty much what I got for that. How long is 5 minutes? Okay, that was pretty long. Question, let's go to the next question. Have you ever gone from a platonic friendship to love? How did it happen? Yeah, maybe. It depends whether or not you want to say it was platonic friendship from the start. It was supposed to be. I was interested in her, but there was nothing there, right? And we started as friends. I don't know how much of this story I can tell because it's not just mine. Okay. I saw a woman come into a place I was working. She worked in a similar capacity to me. Not with the same company. And as soon as I saw her, I was irrevocably drawn to her. I was like, it was a very physical thing. I don't know necessarily what that means. Probably nothing outside of the fact that I was very physically attracted to her. So I don't know whether or not that cancels out platonic friendship. Like, if you want to say, no, that was never platonic friends, because I need to look up the definition for the word platonic. It means non-sexual and romantic, right? Because that's what it was. That's the concept I have associated with it. I'm going to move forward with that assumption. Yeah, so I met her. I was interested in her. She was just a different type, like the same kind of different as me. And I didn't know what my different was at the time, but I recognized it in her when I got to know her. And we ended up living together really fast, platonically. Her and another woman and myself in a place. And yeah, that eventually, over the course of however many years, that turned to love. But it didn't necessarily say reciprocal love. And I think it's there, but you really struck a nerve on this one. That's a really top of the skin kind of topic. I think I'm done with that one. Okay. What's the best decision you ever made? Wait, what is the best decision you ever made that made your life better? This one. I don't know how to explain it. The reason I'm making these YouTube videos, the reason I'm not working in the factories, the reason I want to do crazy stuff I'm not going to tell you about right now, the reason my life exploded and my brain imploded and everything just changed so dramatically, that's the best decision I made in my life, for my life, as it stands. That's kind of like, basically, I don't give two shits what anybody thinks. No. Wrong. It's that nobody's opinion matters any more or less than mine. It's just, there's a pretty good chance that when they say some shit that to me just seems obviously bad, I'm like, oh, why would you say that? That was mean. Chances are, every single time, it's limited perception or some kind of past bias, I'll say. Yeah, some kind of bias. And those come from places. Those don't just appear. They can all be understood. Everything can be understood. But not that it's going to happen that way. Outside of that kind of metaphysical one, what's the best actual decision I made to make my life better? I would assume for advice for a young person, for some reason. That's how I'm looking at this. So, the best decision I made that made my life better. I guess it would be to try to understand other people. I don't know. It's really hard. I haven't really made very many good decisions. Oh, maybe joining the military, but I don't recommend that. That was just good for me. Maybe moving out of the house, but again, I don't necessarily recommend that because that was just good for me. If you were in my life living all the things that I lived, it might be bad for you, and vice versa. Just dropping my dreams, just holding a dream right here and walking with it for so long and being like, oops, and then just dropping it and moving on. That was really good for me, but it might be terrible for you. That's a really hard one. Next question. How long are we here? 11 minutes. Well, some of this has got to get cut, I'm sure. I doubt I'm one taking this shit. The detail a friend noticed about my relationship that made her realize it was abusive. What? The detail, friendship topic you might like. I don't know what they're asking because it's in quotes. It's like this is a sentence. I'm not going to show you that. The detail a friend noticed about my relationship that made her realize it was abusive. So theoretically, they could be asking me, what do I see in other relationships that make me realize that they're abusive? Abuse. It's obvious. It's really obvious every time. No. There is no realizing. There is no realizing that somebody else is in an abusive relationship. Not like this, anyway. You can be pretty sure, but there's no way to know for sure because couples do disagree in varying levels. It's typically about the one-sidedness, about the intention of the things that are being said, and that's about it, yeah. It's mostly about intention. For example, I'm going to make up a bad example, but I'm going to use it. Let's say, I don't know. Let's say my cousin was kidnapped when I was a kid, and it was almost me. And after that, the whole family installed tracking software on everybody's phones. And I insisted that the person I was with get tracking software on their phone because I have that bias. I have that trauma in my life that affects my decision. That would not necessarily be an abusive relationship. It would be an abusive relationship if I forced it on you. Yeah. That's a really hard one. I'm going to skip that question. That's too hard because I can't just know anything about a relationship that would make it abusive. Except bruises. That's about it. Bruises that they told you. But even then, you can't know for sure because it's possible for a person to lie about bruises. The only way to know is to catch it. You got to catch it. And you got to know what it means. It's hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. When you see somebody being abused, you know. No, I take that back. Because if you know somebody and you suspect they're being abused, I can't answer this. It's too hard. It's too vague. Best elementary schools in Colombia. How do you accept and get on with life knowing that there's no true love out there for you? Oh, I can see this person's sad. This isn't true. Although it is true, but it also isn't. But it also is, but it also isn't. Okay, let's go with the assumption that he or she is correct. And that there is no true love out there for you. Because that might actually be true for this person. And I've actually considered it as potentially true for myself. But here's the thing. This is a symptom of something. This is a symptom of something that I'm happy I noticed. Where's the question again? Oh, yes. There's no true love out there for you is a symptom of the fact that you don't love yourself. I know that sounds like some cop-out bullshit, like what people say, right? About, losing it. I lost it. Hang on. My mind is completely blank. I had to force myself to talk. Okay, what am I doing? Oh yeah, the true love thing. How do you accept, get on with life knowing that there's no true love for you? Oh yeah, it's a symptom of not loving yourself, right? That's what I was saying? Yeah. Oh yeah, because every one is two and every two is one. Let me double back over that to make it make a little bit of sense. Every two is made up of every plural is made up of singulars, and every singular is part of a plural. It's like forever, everything forever, in a sense. And the thing that a person needs to complete themselves is not someone else. The thing a life requires. I can put this down after I get the question, can I? Look at that. But the thing a person requires if they're looking to complete their life is not another person. Although it also is. So consider the self as a singular first, just the self. What is the self made of? If you were to split it in half, split it in two, it would be the body and the mind, the physical and the mental, right? That's what the self is. If I talk about myself, I'm talking about body and mind. Right? So you need to balance those two things in your life, or learn how to use them and adjust them in order to fully understand yourself. And now you take those two halves, the body and the mind that make up the self, and you put them together and you call it the self. Well, the self has a balancing factor as well, and that would be the other. Now, there's a few options for the other, right? The other could be a man or a woman or a person, you know. The other could be a partner in romance. The other could also be a child. When I say that, I'm talking adoption styles, because that's what I've been thinking about lately as a way down the line concept. There's also the self. Fully focus on you. Dedicate to something. It can be anything. It can be literally your body. It can be learning. It can be skydiving. Dedicate to being the skydiver. It can be anything. It can be staring off into middle distance. It can be yoga. But that can be the balance to the self, is the external. But you need to put as much focus in that as in yourself. Now, if you want to be with another person, which most people do, they want to pair off, right? Which is completely natural. As a matter of fact, I think that's the natural force of unity unity. The natural force of creation is to compress, and the natural force of destruction is to expand. And both can be used in... anyway, I'm getting too into the theory again. Okay. So you just, if you think there's no true love out there for you, just do something else, man. Or woman, person, fuck. I'm thinking too much about gender politics. Look what you got me doing. But, yeah. Just focus on something else. And I almost don't want to tell you this part because it makes it harder to make it true, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It's when you're focusing on these things that you're the most likely to find that person that you couldn't find otherwise. Because personally, for me, opposites attract big fucking time. But they need to be, everything else needs to be the same. There needs to be one opposite. And the opposite I like the most is outcome. Okay? So I think my soulmate would be exactly like me, flipped around, or would be the female version of me who sees and thinks the same things, but has different opposite ideas or outcomes about it. Like, I don't know, if I said purple is, or red is the best color, they would say blue is, I don't know if red and blue are complement or opposite. Bad example. If I said 0, they would say infinity. Right? That kind of a thing. If I said yes, they would say no, and then we would discuss it and we'd both be willing to adjust because we know. Anyway, that's my deal. I need an opposition, not a similarity, right? But where was I going with that? Oh yeah, if you agree that a person very different to you, but with some kind of conceptual similarity, that like likes the same kind of stuff but thinks of it differently, or I don't know, something. If you have an idea of how that person is really different than you, then you're not going to run into them, especially if you think exactly your opposite, because if you're looking for them, they're not looking for you. As a matter of fact, if you're looking for them at +6, they're probably looking for you at -6. Right? So the only... never mind. That was a bad... I went on too long with that answer. Next question. I don't know if this is working at all, but... You know what? Fuck it, we'll do it live. Alright, I don't know if this goes at the start or at the end, and I'm going to do it vlogger style because I can't go home for reshoots, but I should explain what's going on. I'm putting this at the end of my video, actually. You'll notice that this whole video has been completely unedited in terms of nothing's been cut, nothing's been adjusted. The reason for that is because I'm not going to get to cut and adjust when I do things live. So, this video is a test. This video is to see if anybody has any interest in just a talk. Just talking about philosophy and life and relationships and psychology and who's, what's, when, where's, and why's about the universe and people in it. If you have any question at all, none too big, none too small, just the size of Montreal, go ahead and drop it down in the comments if you're so inclined, and maybe I'll try to feature it in another video. However, more importantly, I think I am going to live stream tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I am going to start streaming. If you have any questions for me, you can ask them live there. If I don't feel comfortable answering your question, I will not answer your question. But as long as it is serious, I will be serious back. Or Sirius Black. Harry Potter. Stuff. That's enough. Alright, so I think you get it. If you've watched this far and you're still watching, you should come check out my live stream. I flow much better when I'm thinking and discussing as opposed to when I'm editing and adjusting. So, yeah, I think this will work really well. If you're interested, swing by tomorrow. I can't remember the date. Tomorrow. Wednesday. Wednesday at the end of February. All right, see you then.